Okay, so we're still on. Don't write the B in there, but we're on Chapter 7, World War II. And which day is this? Is this day 3? It's day 3, I believe. It's day 3. Okay, so 07, World War II, Part 3. Pardon me? Part 3? Yes? Oh, this is Part 4? Thank you very much. Part 4. Whoops. Part 4. Part 4. Boy, how time flies. And you recall the last time we had a class, I droned on and on for 30 or 40 or 50 or 100 minutes about nuclear weapon firebombing during World War II. Does anybody remember what was the last thing I asked you about before you left yesterday? Maybe it was the day before yesterday. It was the day before yesterday because yesterday we were in the computer lab. But it was the last. Okay, I'll remind you the question I asked you as you were cleaning up and leaving down here. What if you were in the United States and you wanted to stop North Korea from doing whatever you think North Korea is going to do? What kind of weapons would you use and how would you handle it? I asked the question, would you take Marines and put them on this boat and land on a beach? Would you take helicopters off of an aircraft carrier and land troops in North Korea? These are just options. How many people are experts on the United States military capabilities? So there are some options. Take small bombers like F-18s that are their FAA is for. You can carry some bombs. I don't know how many. Maybe 2, 3, 4, 5,000 pounds at once. I don't really know. But you could take off out of aircraft carriers, and the Marine Corps and the Navy could drop bombs off of there. Let's see, the Army. The problem with the Army is they don't have a lot of ships, so the Marines usually get there before the Army does. But you could start the Army in South Korea. Could you? North Korea, South Korea. Of course, then North Korea is probably going to attack South Korea. Or you could take Air Force airplanes, and you could use A-10s, and they can drop bombs and 30-millimeter cannon. You can also take bombers. The United States has, I don't know if it's 50 or 60 B-52s left, and there's about 80 or 90 B-1s, and I think there's 19 B-2 bombers. They can all carry tens of thousands of pounds per. The airplane I flew, it could carry 51 bombs that weighed 750 pounds each of TNT bombs. So what's 51 times 30 times 750? That's about 37,000 pounds of bombs. Now about a little more than half of that is the explosive part. So that'd be, let's just say, we'll round up to 20,000 pounds of bombs, of 20,000 pounds of explosive. And a B-1, I think, is a little bit more than that, and I think a B-2 is a little bit less. So I'm not saying I know what the answer is. I just thought it was rather interesting. I'd just like to compare that to, well, if we wanted to stop Japan in the war, what did we have and what did we do? What weapons did we have and what did we do? What if we wanted to stop another country right now? Of course, in World War II, Japan didn't have nuclear weapons with intercontinental ballistic missiles. All right. So we did talk about this one here. Yeah, I just started talking about strategic bombing and away I went, right? So this second to the last. So we talked a lot about strategic bombing, and you ought to be able to tell the difference between tactical bombing and strategic bombing. Let's see who can tell me the difference between tactical bombing. Can you describe bombing? Yeah. That's kind of bombing. Factories. dropping bombs right at the front lines. Your guys are right here, 500 yards away, or the bad guys only 500 yards away from your guys. That's on the front line. That's in the combat zone. That's tactical bombing. That's, I want an impact right now. If I do strategic bombing, I go past enemy lines, I go 100,000 miles in, and the things I destroy there, it might take 2 or 3, 4 months before you notice it at the front lines, because they're moving tanks already built before you blew up, and they're moving bullets, and they're airplanes, and they're moving rifles. Strategic impact is going to be later, but 2 or 3 months later, maybe a month later, only a month later. Now, if there's no more bullets, good thing for you. If it's their bullets that they don't have, if they don't have any more airplanes, you keep shooting theirs down. They don't get more airplanes. They don't get more new tanks, more locomotives to haul things. All right. So what you'll find, here's the second to the last one, the leading edge aircraft technology. Leading edge is a phrase that means better than yesterday, better than the day before yesterday. So what happened during World War I, also happened during World War II, is that during the war, each of the governments that were making flying machines gave the companies, they said, here, design a better airplane, and if we like it, we'll pay you to build one. And then 6 months later, they said, oh, build a better airplane than that, and build it, and if we like it, we'll pay you to build it. There was a very increase in newer airplanes. Leading edge means very, like I talked about the last time I spoke. Remember, what was the best Japanese fighter in World War II? The Zero. At the beginning of the war, there were fighter planes in the Pacific or the United States Navy. Who had the best fighter plane? At the beginning of the war, the Japanese Zero was the fighter than the best thing the Navy had on an aircraft carrier at the beginning of the war. But what did the United States do? They went back to Grumman. I have to write this down, but Grumman made the Hellcat and the Bearcat and the Wildcat. I can't remember what all those cats are. And they designed better, and the F-4U Corsair. And the last couple of airplanes that they made in the Navy were better than the Zero. Japanese did not make an airplane than the Zero. And so that's one of the contributing factors. The United States won the war. The Navy, Marine. Just 1 second. All right, and of course, this last one, you can't really have nuclear bombers if you don't have any nuclear weapons. So does anybody remember how many nuclear weapons were exploded in the entire planet during World War II? I'm giving you a hint here. It's a trick question. Not how many did the United States drop on Japan. How many nuclear weapons were exploded during World War II? Yes? Well, let me ask you this question. Nuclear weapons were in Japan at World War II. Yeah, whoever said that out loud knew the answer. So, here's the question. You're going to drop two bombs in your territory. Would you like to know if they're going to work before you drop them over there? So how could you find out if your design for a nuclear bomb would work? Test them. So how do you test a nuclear bomb? I know you're a nuclear bomb expert. What's the best way to test a nuclear bomb? Blow it up. So, what do you think the United States did before we dropped those 2 nuclear bombs on Japan? What do you think we did before those 2? We tested a bomb. We set one off in Alamogordo, New Mexico. And the name of the two bombs that we dropped on Hiroshima and Nagasaki were, anybody? Fat Man. And what was the name of the nuclear bomb that we exploded in New Mexico before we dropped them on Japan? The nickname for the bomb was the Gadget. And I'm not making it up when I say they had duct tape on it. Not a lot. It was probably just to hold a sensor or something. But the site that they exploded that bomb on was called the Trinity site, or they called it the Trinity experiment. So when they could talk, you say, oh yeah, we're going to do Trinity the day after tomorrow. Oh yeah. If somebody didn't know what Trinity means, secret, right? That wasn't the name of the bomb, that was the name of the event. Next question. The most powerful bomb that has been dropped in classified sources was in the late 1950s, or I think it was 50s. I can't remember. It's over 50 megatons. It was just over 50 megatons. As far as unclassified sources say, they only built one. And then they went, O, space, S, letter, exclamation mark. And so did the United States. And they did not build another one. Question? Interesting. Because atom bomb and then there's a nuclear bombs, but a hydrogen bomb, you do think. Well, we started out with atomic bombs, and then when the United States made our first explosion, 4 firecrackers. We talked about nuclear fallout. What would happen if you got no? You'll probably develop cancer. Okay. Well, nuclear weapons blow up. Anything that's involved in the explosion, let me phrase it, a lot of the material, like the dirt or the people or the buildings or the vehicles, the atoms that are left over are radioactive, and they're spraying out radioactive particles. Guess what happens? And in fact, if it's bad enough, you could start dying that day, and you might be dead in a day. Another one is going to blow it. What if it goes up into the sky? That's not fun if you're 500 miles away. Problems with nuclear weapons, on top of the fact of the original destruction that happens in the first 20 or 30 seconds. You know, the first few seconds, it's a fireball, and it's like 1,000 degrees Fahrenheit. And this depends on the size of the bomb. It really, really does. But let's just say that it goes out to 1 mile radius, a 2-mile diameter circle, and everything inside of that is knocked over and burned up. And when I say everything, I mean everything. And then, so now you're out to a mile away from the explosion. From mile 1 to mile 3, everything burns. And about half of everything gets knocked down. Because there's a shock wave. And oh wait, if you're in there, not that you would live, but you got radiated by gamma rays that went into the light. So now it's go from 3 miles to 4 miles. Yeah, maybe half of it burns up and a fourth of it gets knocked down. And if you were a human and there was a piece of lead between you and the explosion, you got hit by gamma rays and you're probably going to die in the next week or 2 or 3. And this is a small bomb. This is let me rephrase that. This is not no stinking 50 megaton bomb. I think LA has 27 million people, if you count the metropolitan area of Los Angeles. It's like a third, or it's like half the state of California lives within a 100-mile radius of downtown Los Angeles. Let's say you went inland from LA, so you're right smack in the middle of the metropolitan area. If you set off a 50 megaton weapon, you would probably kill 10 or 15 million people in the first 20 seconds. And you'd probably kill another 5 or 10 in the next week or 2. A 50 megaton would probably kill 20 out of 27 million people. So let's just say it's only 1/50th of that. It's only 1 megaton. You're probably going to kill 1 or 2 million people in the first 30 seconds and another million or 2 in the next 3 weeks. So now that you have some small idea of what nuclear weapon destruction is like, if you were the president of the United States and you wanted to stop a country from doing things that you thought were going to be terrible, what would you do? So thanks for letting me rant some more there. I'm very prejudiced because I think most people in the United States don't understand nuclear weapons, how much destruction they can have at that moment within the first 20 or 30 seconds, a week or 2 or 3 later, and a month later when the nuclear fallout lands in a country that's 1,500 miles away. Nobody taught you that. Was that in your government class? Was that in history class? Go ahead. Absolutely. You could have a long-term list. There's people that got burned and bad enough to die from cancer. For one more minute. In the last year or two, on Nagasaki, and we killed this many people. What's that? Yeah, 3 paragraphs. Did it say this bomb is 10 times smaller than anything we currently have right now? It is 1 we have right now. Think about that. It's 10 times smaller than the small stuff we have now, and it's 50 times smaller than the big stuff we have now. We're not. Your real nuclear secret, I'd have to kill you all. So I haven't told you anything that I haven't hours and hours looking at what you can do with nuclear weapons, and it makes you sad and you want to cry. Are there rules for war? Yes, and you don't have to follow them as long as you win. It's a great question. At the end of World War II, there were war criminals in Germany against leaders of the German military, and there were, I believe they did the same, less number of people, but they did the same in trials in Japan. And so you broke the rules of war, and now we're going to imprison you the rest of your life for it. Because we won. We marched the rest of the world, and we were right. If we executed the bad guys, that means they must have been the bad guys, therefore we were the good guys. So, if the United States broke the actual rules of warfare, nobody did anything in the United States because we won. We did. I have not studied that topic much at all about what are the international rules of war, but It says, okay, we're going to have an elected president, and we're going to have a Supreme Court, and we're going to have elections, and here's the basic government, do something. And we wrote the first set of Bill of Rights, I think, went into that, and the Constitution. That was written and then ratified 11 years later, 11 years after 1776. It was 1787. And then guess what? 2 more years. We elected our first Congress, and we elected George Washington as the first president. 13 years after we declared our independence. I didn't know that there was such a long gap last week. I was reading one of those little pamphlets on Constitution. I was reading one class. I think it was it Jordan? Yeah. And so I had to go to the cafeteria to try not to buy brownies. And a stack of them there, so I looked in the bag. It was crazy. The Constitution actually says only the Congress of the United States can declare war on another country. Well, is it okay if we go over there and kill 100,000 people, but we call it a police action, and therefore it's not a war, so we don't have to get Congress to approve it? It's just a military conflict. It's not a war. It's the President of the United States has the authority to send U.S. soldiers into another country to kill people, even though they're soldiers in another country, and kill them and get them if they want. And as long as we can say it's not a war, the President must be the Congress to vote on it. I'm only asking these questions because I'm not sure what those answers are. How many people in here are 18? How many people are going to be 18 by November, a year from now? November, a year from now. It's not going to be 18 by then. 1 or 2 people, okay. That means in the United States you can vote in the elections in November of 2018. And I think all the congressmen come up for election and half of the U.S. senators. And the current president of the United States will be halfway in his 4 years as president. So you can vote for those people who vote for federal laws. You can also vote for those people in the state. So thank you very much, gentlemen, for letting me rant today. I appreciate it. I will see you tomorrow. Oh, is there something tomorrow? Does anybody know what's due tomorrow at 2:20 in the afternoon in aviation history? The essay draft. The essay draft is due tomorrow.